Yantimidandasya Jnananjanatsalakaya Chakshurun militam jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Asatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya evacha Patitanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome. This festival, Pushybhishek or Flower Festival, has been one of the most beloved celebrations of our Radha Gopinath temple for many years. It was actually started by accident. But sometimes when accidents are really auspicious, they become traditions. Shall I explain? In our Vaishnava spiritual calendar, there is a festival every year in January called Pushybhishek. And Abhishek means bathing Krishna and Sri Radha. It's a bathing ceremony. And on the day of Radhastami, Sri Radha's appearance, and Janamastami, Krishna's appearance, the Lord in the temple is bathed with so many auspicious waters and juices and very sacred objects. So when I saw Pushybhishek in January, I was thinking that it's too cold in January for water, and in Sanskrit the word for flower is pushpa. And sometimes when you put two words together, you change certain consonants. So I was thinking Pushybhishek means in January the Lord is bathed with flowers. So we made many beautiful baskets that were filled with flower petals, and we showered them on Krishna, and then we showered the prasad on all the devotees. Everyone was so happy. They said, this is the best festival. And we did this for a few years, and then I discovered that the month of January is called Posh, and Pushybhishek means a regular bathing ceremony in the month of January. It has nothing to do with flowers. But because everyone was so happy, we carried on. And everyone is still happy. But as we were reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam today, and there's events in the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, in great festivals, when Krishna returned to Dwarka, they showered him with flowers. When the gopis would worship Shri Radha, Govinda Dev in Vrindavan, sometimes they would shower with flowers. When Ram returned with Sita to Ayodhya, they showered with flowers. So this flower shower is very much supported by scriptures and acharyas, but how we particularly applied it to January, all I could say was, I believe it was a very well thought out, orchestrated design of an accident that was by a higher power than little me. But the principle is simple, that love is simple. And profound philosophy, great yogic powers, advanced knowledge, very, very elaborate ceremonies, wonderful buildings built with great architecture, all of these things that are part of spiritual traditions are essentially aimed at something very simple. The simplest thing that there has ever been or will ever be. The awakening of the love is within the heart of everyone. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he spoke a verse, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Satya Kabunoi Sravanadi Sudhi Cheti Kodiye Udoy. That love for God or love for Krishna is inherent within the heart of every living being. Wherever there's life, there is the presence of the Atma, the soul. The soul is the conscious force within the plant, within the fish, within the insect, the animal, the bird, and every variety of humans. Mamayavam sa jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. And Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita that every Atma or every soul is a part of the Supreme Soul. Like a sun ray is part of the sun planet. The sun gives off heat and light, and every sun ray gives off the same exact heat and light. But the sun ray is always subordinate to the sun planet. But in bhakti, because the supreme absolute truth is the source of all love, the source of all compassion toward every living being, we have our free will, whether we are going to reciprocate with that love and accept it, or whether we are going to rebel against it. And yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells that again and again I descend into this world in various incarnations to establish Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is the one religion that is the essence of all religions. To love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself is the basis of Sanatana Dharma. Savai pungso paro dharmo yato bhaktir hokshaja ahoitaki aprati yatma suprasidati. The Bhagavad Purana tells the supreme Dharma, the essence of all spirituality, of all religion, is the awakening of the divine love within our heart, which is expressed through service, seva. Such service must be unmotivated by any type of egoism or selfishness and uninterrupted by any circumstance, to actually satisfy our heart, to satisfy our soul, because that's who we are, that's our nature. When a cloud covers the sun, it doesn't actually cover the sun, it just covers it from our vision. So when, due to our free will, we do not respond to this divine message, and we want to act in more arrogant and selfish ways, then the cloud of illusion just covers our awareness of who we really are. But it doesn't change who we are. We just forget. And then we start thinking I'm white or black or red or yellow or male or female or human or cow or dog or cat or donkey or goat or sheep or bird or whatever. And all of those, if we see the unity of life in respect to Om Purnam Ada Purnamidam, we all have the same source. And we all have complete love and compassion for each other. If we awaken our love for God, like watering the root of a tree, that water extends to every part of the tree. But when we forget this, we act in so many reckless ways. But this is the message that is so simple. Jeev Jago Gora Chandra Bole. Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna in the mood of Sri Radha, trying to share that love with us, had this simple message. Jeev Jago, wake up, sleeping souls. Is there anything simpler than just waking up? We wake up every day. Some people can't even go to sleep. But whatever time, somehow or other, we always wake up because it's natural. So Lord Chaitanya, in this beautiful verse, this love is within all of us. And by associating with people who have this love, by reconnecting to that love within us, especially through the chanting of the divine names of the Lord, then that love is awakened. Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipatam purnamritasvadanam. And that's really the happiness that everyone's looking for, to share that. Lord Chaitanya composed a very, very illuminating verse in the nature of spiritual love. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam ba jagadisha kamaye. Mama janamani janmanishwari bhavata bhakti rahoita kitvai. He's not praying to God for anything but the desire to love and serve. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim. My Lord, I do not pray to you for wealth or fame or followers or all sorts of sensual pleasures of the beauty of the opposite sex. I don't want to be a great scholar and poet and famous for that either. I do not even want liberation. Many people approach God because they want either material relief from suffering or prosperity to get more happiness in this world. Or when they realize that all these things are perishing and they never really satisfy the soul, then mukti, or liberation. No more birth, no more death, no more suffering. But Lord Chaitanya says, I don't want that. In whatever condition I'm in, my only prayer, let me serve you with pure love, unconditionally. And that is the principle of bhakti. And there are so many beautiful historical examples which I would like to share just a few with you this evening to put us in the mood of what's about to come. Because something that's wonderful, if we understand the significance of it, we could really put our heart into it. And instead of just enjoying it, we could be transformed by it. there was a great king. His name was Prataparudra. He was the king of most all of South India around 500 years ago. Orissa, parts of Andhra Pradesh, parts of Tamil Nadu. He was an unrivaled king. Even though in those days the Mughal emperors were trying to conquer all of India, they could not conquer King Prataparudra. He was enormously wealthy, because usually kings are. Extremely powerful. And he was loved by his people because he was so caring. And at a time of a wonderful festival called Ratha Yatra, King Prataparudra, he took the role of a simple street sweeper. And with a broom, he swept the road to clear the path for the Lord's procession and for all the devotees and for all the common people. And when Lord Chaitanya saw this, he understood not what he was doing, but he understood his heart. This was actually his identity. He wasn't thinking, I am the king and you are my subjects. He was thinking, I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. And he expressed this as if the only desire he had in his life was just to be the servant of the servant of the servant of all servants. Servant of everyone. And he was willing to publicly come out, and this was not for political purpose. Sometimes in politics, for elections, in the campaign, big rulers come out and sweep a street or do something menial. But it's usually to get votes. But kings didn't need votes, because they were born kings and they died kings. It was just who he was. Even for the least of his citizens, he would put down his life to help them. Why? Because he felt that I'm not the king. I'm in this role of a king, but everything belongs to God, and every living being is a child of God, and my responsibility in this role is to be a caretaker. I'm going to use a really feeble example, but I hope you get the idea. If a mother and father appoint someone to be their babysitter, yes? Does the babysitter do anything they want in the house or to the child? The babysitter understands, I have to take, on behalf of the parents, I have to protect this child and give this child happiness, and I have to respect this house according to the will of the owners. So a king is like that when they're God conscious. These are God's children in my care, and many of them need help, and they need protection, and they need compassion, and they need prosperity, and they need most of all spiritual direction. And he was a servant. So that humble devotion brought him to the highest state of spiritual enlightenment. Another story, when Krishna, he left Vrindavan with Akrura and came to Mathura. At the time he was not even 11 years old, but he's Krishna, so he could do anything anytime. When he was 7 years old, he held up a mountain for 7 days and 7 nights. Shri Govardhan. And today, that mountain is only a fraction as big as it was that time. It is 21 kilometers to walk around at 14 miles. So Krishna's Krishna. When he was a little baby, his mother was told that he ate dirt, so she looked in his mouth and she saw the entire universe within his mouth. And the universe didn't get small and his mouth did not get big. Now you may say that's inconceivable, but achintya shakti. That's the first principle in God realization, that the source of everything that exists is inconceivable. So when Krishna entered Mathura, which was a big city, he came from a very beautiful village into a royal city. It was a kingdom. He was walking down the road on his first day, and he had so many different experiences. But one, there was a gardener. His name was Sudama. And he just grew flowers and collected flowers and sold flowers and made garlands to make a living. And he didn't have much. Really, practically everything he had is invested in his flowers and his garlands. So Krishna was walking down the street and Sudama saw him. And he bowed down to Krishna and greeted him. Said, "Please come into my home." And he started offering beautiful prayers. You're the very soul of the entire universe. You're the ultimate goal of all dharma and religion. And you have come to my house. You're so kind. You are equal to everyone. Aham bija pradapita. Because you're the father and mother of all living beings, you're equal to everyone. But you reciprocate according to how people are willing to receive your mercy and your love. And then he asked Krishna, how can I serve you? How can I please you? And Krishna didn't say anything. But Sudama understood. He wants my love. But in this world, we have to express our love. And that's the beauty of creation. We could see the things of this world as just Maya. We could see everything and everyone in this world as just materialistic situations that distract us from our purpose of life, and we just want to negate it. Neti. Or we could see that everything has the potential to be utilized to express our devotion, our love. And then the world and creation becomes something very divine. So he understood this. And when you love someone, you want to give them the best you have. You don't want to give them the least you have, because you want to please them. So he got his best flowers and his best garlands, and he put one on Krishna and one on Balaram. And Krishna and Balaram came with many of their little friends who were just simple cowherd boys. And he put all of his best garlands and all of his other garlands on Krishna and all his friends. He gave everything. And Krishna was so pleased. Does Krishna need flowers? He's the seed of all life. He has unlimited flowers. What is a flower to Krishna? But Krishna is Bhava Grahi Janardana. Bhava Grahi means Janardana, the name of Krishna, who's the proprietor of everything that exists. He accepts the essence of a person's heart, which is their love. And that's the only thing he accepts. Sudama offered these simply to please Krishna, with his heart and soul. His very body, mind, words, life, soul was in every little petal of those flowers, and he was offering with love. And Krishna said to Sudama, I will satisfy your every desire. Ask for any blessing from me. Sudama, with tears in his eyes and folded palms, he said, my Lord, I only want this. That forever, in whatever situation I may be in, let my devotion and my love for you be pure. Let me always wish to please you. And grant me this simple benediction. Let me always be intimate friends with your devotees, with those who love you. And let me have this benediction, because I know it pleases you most. Let me have completely unselfish, transcendental compassion to all living beings. He didn't ask for anything for himself. He wanted to serve the devotees. He wanted to be compassionate to all living beings, whoever they were and whatever species of life they were in, and he wanted to love and serve the Lord. That's bhakti. And Krishna was so moved by him. He admitted, I'm conquered by your love. I'm subordinate to the love of my devotee. I grant you all these benedictions, plus, even though you don't want them, just from my side, I promise you long life, great physical strength, constant mental clarity. I promise you that you will get economic prosperity that's ever growing. You will always remain young and beautiful, and your family will be really cooperative and happy. That's what Krishna gave him. But all Sudama wanted was pure devotion, pure compassion, and intimate friendship. Simply by offering him some flowers. In Dwarka, Krishna was living in this beautiful kingdom, majestic kingdom, in the latter part of his lila, or his pastimes. And once the great yogi sage Narada Muni, he came to Dwarka. And he was speaking to the many queens of Dwarka and to Krishna. And it was decided, Narada Muni, that he was going to take Krishna with him. And the queens were very, very much begging Krishna to stay. So an arrangement was made. Satyabhama, one of the queens of Dwarka, she said, I'll do anything to keep Krishna here. So Krishna said, I will sit on a scale. In those days, scales were, you put, you know how it is, like that justice person in the Supreme Court has blindfold and he has a scale, where you have, you know, a dish on one side, a dish on another, and then you equal the weights. So I will sit on one side of the scale. And Narada Muni said, with Krishna, you put your jewels and your ornaments on the other side. And whatever has equal weight to Krishna, I will take that and you can keep Krishna. Sound nice? So Krishna sat on the scale, and the queen Satyabhama, she brought emeralds and rubies and diamonds and gold and silver and so many incredible priceless jewels, and she filled the entire dish with literally hundreds and hundreds of pounds of precious jewels. What's that worth, Shamsundar? Hundreds and hundreds of pounds of diamonds and rubies and emeralds and everything else you used to mine back in the old days. Sapphires. It's probably worth billions of dollars. but the scale didn't budge even a millimeter. Krishna just remained on the ground. And Satyabhama, they were really worried because now Krishna's going to be taken away from us. So the other queens started coming and putting their jewelry on it. Pearls. And they completely filled it, overflooding. And the scale didn't move. So then Rukmini, who's one of the queens of Dwarka, the first queen of Dwarka, she saw the emergency situation. And she said, take all the jewels off. Take everything off. And then it was just Krishna on one side and an empty plate on the other. And she collected one single tulsi leaf. Just a little green leaf about this big. And with love and devotion, she placed that leaf on the scale, and Krishna just shot up and practically like a launching pad. And then he explained to everyone that I staged this beautiful pastime just to show that it's only through pure love, even in its simplest form, that has any value to God. In the Mahabharata, Raghunath, he likes to tell these stories. Krishna came to Hastinapur, and Duryodhana was very much arrogant and totally envious of the Pandavas. And he was really greedy, but he was so intelligent. He could just manipulate. He was a genius. And it's good to be a genius if you have good character. But if you're a genius and you don't have good character, it's very similar. In the Vedic scriptures, most of the most terrible, cruel demons had mystic yogic perfections. They could perform incredible miracles. They had siddhis. But they were pretty weak on their yamas and niyamas. They could walk on water, and they could just chant a mantra and create nuclear weapons, and they could go to any planet they want with a mantra. But they had arrogance and selfishness. So Duryodhana was like that. He had so many powers, but he was envious and very greedy for power. So he wanted to, like so many people in various ways, he wanted to get God's favor to help him to satisfy his own desires. So he invited Krishna to his magnificent palace for lunch and to be entertained. And he was really, really making all arrangements, because he was thinking, if Krishna's pleased with me, it's almost like bribing God. And nobody can defeat me. And he had jewels and thrones and the waiting to be given to Krishna, and he also had the best cooks in the entire kingdom preparing the most luscious preparations with the most best quality ingredients to be served on gold plates. And he had bands and entertainers and dancers and musicians, and everything was ready. And he had a lot of flower garlands too, but he didn't have much devotion. So Krishna walked right by his palace, and he went to Vidura's home. Vidura is just a simple person, but he had love and devotion. He was truly a detached, compassionate person. And they weren't expecting Krishna. And they didn't have any food in their house. And according to some, Vidura wasn't even home. So Krishna comes to the house and Vidura's wife is there. And could you imagine Krishna coming to your house as an unexpected guest? She was really nervous. She brought Krishna in her house and she put a little straw mat down and he sat on the floor and he said, "I'm hungry." She said, "We don't have anything." So she just looked outside and there was a banana growing from a tree and she picked the banana and she offered Krishna the banana, but she was so nervous that she peeled the banana, threw out the banana and gave Krishna the peel. And Krishna ate it and was completely satisfied. He said, I would rather take the banana peel offered with the love of a gentle person like you than all of those gifts that Duryodhana is trying to give me. And I often tell the story of my own mother. She taught me this as her main teaching to me when I was born. That it's not the thing that counts. It's the thought, it's the love that makes anything meaningful. And the origin of that principle is God's love for us and our love for God. If someone gives you a pearl necklace or a flower, the thing itself doesn't give much satisfaction. It gives no satisfaction to the heart. It may really create a sensation in our mind. Oh, this is a pearl necklace. What is its worth and what is it beautiful and how nice it looks on me. Or for a man, it may be something else. The same principle. But there's no satisfaction that can touch the heart. Only love can touch the heart. Our Guru, Srila Prabhupada, he said we should try to offer Krishna the best we have. But even if it's a little leaf, or even if it's a little piece of jewelry made out of some simple plastic or something, if that's all you have, if you offer it with love, it has more value to Krishna than diamonds. Another story. Lord Chaitanya, they were doing a bathing ceremony for him like this, but it was an actual abhishek with all kinds of water. And this was in Mayapur Dham. There were devotees getting literally thousands of buckets of water from the river Ganges, Ganga, and bringing it. And all these great yogis and acharyas and avatars were offering the bathing. And Lord Chaitanya was accepting their devotion. There was a simple lady. Her name was Duki. Duki means the miserable one. And in those days, this was common in India. If someone was like an orphan, born, in real desperate poverty, and they were never going to be able to get an education, they were kind of born to suffer. And there's nothing any parents or anyone really has to help them. So if someone's born in that kind of situation, sometimes they give them a name so that the Lord of Death would feel sorry for them. Yes? So Duki means the miserable one. So maybe God will feel sorry for her and help her because we can't help her. But she had a very simple role. She was just doing menial services. And she came there to that ceremony. And as people were bringing the water, she was way in the background, just putting the buckets of water in nice little rows so that somebody can easily pick it up and pass it to someone else, to pass it to someone else, to pass it to someone else, to pass it to the great acharyas, or the intimate associates of the Lord, to put on the Lord. And Lord Chaitanya was sitting, and he was watching Dukhi. And he asked someone, "Who is this?" And they said, "Her name is Dukhi, the miserable one." And Lord Chaitanya said, "But she's doing her service with such love, with such compassion. Today I give her a new name, Sukhi, which means the happy one." But he didn't just give her the name. He gave her Prema Bhakti, the ultimate perfection of Bhava Bhakti. He gave her liberation in ecstatic love of God. She was crying in ecstasy. And everyone recognized she's a totally spiritually enlightened soul, the topmost yogi. But she still, just the simplest ways, she just wanted to serve. So whether we have so much knowledge, so much wealth, so many abilities, or whether we don't have any of those things, those are all details. If we have a simple heart, a grateful heart, and we wish to serve, and we appreciate and honor others in that spirit, then that's the topmost yoga, according to Bhagavad Gita. Yogi namapi sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shadavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamamata. One who has this intimate love is most intimately united with me in yoga and is highest of all. This is the conclusion of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Pushybhishek ceremony, it's beautiful because it unites us on such a special and simple, heartfelt way. We were speaking this morning. There are people here from Mexico and United States and from Canada and from Sweden and from Switzerland and from Australia and from Russia and so many from Ukraine and from England and from Italy, and there's a lot of people from India. And there's billionaires here, and there's simple monks who don't have a penny to their name, who just sleep on a little straw mat and are really happy too. And there is PhD professors and scholars and scientists, and there's farmers and people who take care of cows, there's orphans, there's people who are white and black and red and yellow and brown, there's people from religious backgrounds of so many different varieties. But this morning everyone was sitting around the same little baskets of flowers, plucking flowers. And whatever our particular status, caste, sex, or economic bracket, when you pluck flowers, you pluck flowers. And there was a particular unity in which we all understand how we really are, despite our incredibly amazing differences. We're one in our love for God, in our compassion for each other, in our appreciation of that spirit. I got a little report before the lecture that we plucked the flowers from 2,450 pounds of flowers. That's 1.25 tons of flowers. Or for those of you who are kilo-oriented, it was 1,100 kilograms of flowers. So it's many flowers. So how many petals is that? You'll see in a few minutes. But everyone is plucking these petals, and we're all a family, appreciating, respecting the simplicity of our devotion. And then all these petals, I think there's about 15 different kinds of flowers from 15 different places. From our eco-village, there was large quantity of roses from a nice organic farm in Vrindavan that grew in the soils of Vrindavan and other holy places. And they're all put in baskets. And the nice thing about this is when we offer these flowers to Krishna, you'll not know which petal you collected. You'll just see which petals we collected. And that's an important philosophical point. When we're thinking in terms of janasya moho yamaham mameti, I and mine, that's the source of all illusion and suffering. But when we learn to think in terms of we, of us, and we appreciate each other, and we have compassion for each other, that's actually the yoga consciousness. That's the consciousness of unity of the body, mind, the soul, and the soul with Krishna, with God, and the soul with all other souls and all of nature. So when these flower petals are showered upon the Lord, we could find great happiness in our offering. Not just your offering or my offering, but our offering. With one heart. In this ceremony, even if you didn't pluck a single petal, just being here and appreciating the offering, that's an offering itself. And when Gaurvani and Vishwambar Prabhus and others are singing, and Raghunath Prabhu, then that kirtan, it's the same principle. Yagyai sankirtana praya yajantihi sumedashaha. That the most powerful, effective of all spiritual practices in this age of Kali, according to the Vedic literatures, is the congregational chanting of God's name. Harinama, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam. And Sankirtan is when we chant with one heart, with one voice, when we're unified with affection for each other, with compassion for each other, with appreciation for each other, with a genuine concern for each other. When we chant in that spirit for the pleasure of the Lord, then our combined voices, it's like the combined flower petals. They are the most pleasing offering. So just now the flower festival will begin, and believe it or not, I'm going to end my long talk. But please try to appreciate, as we're singing, it's another shower of flowers. It's a shower of love. From our hearts, if we're singing God's name and trying to inspire each other in doing that, then one voice. All our voices are united in that devotion. And as we see this beautiful flower showering, it's our combined love, our combined sincerity of devotion, which is being offered to the Lord. And at the end of the ceremony, please don't leave, it's the best part, when all those flowers, Krishna, through the hands of his devotees, will shower upon you. It's a shower of grace, it's a shower of mercy, it's a shower which represents, symbolizes, and expresses Krishna's mercy, Krishna's love upon us. And when we take that love and very gracefully and sweetly throw it on each other, then we're sharing that grace and sharing that love. And it's actually a symbol of how we could live. Krishna tells in Gita, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yomi Bhakta Prayachchati Taraham Bhakti Upahritam Ashnami Prayatatmana. If one offers me even a leaf, a flower, a twig, or water with devotion, not only does Krishna accept it, but he's eternally grateful. That is the nature of God's love. And that is the nature of love itself. Thank you very much. Some of you have come from the West, so you don't know certain people, and there's so many exalted people here today. But this one great Swamiji who is from Russia. His name is Nitai Chaitanya Swami Maharaj, who is coming to bless. And we have Sridharji, who is the founder of Bhakti Fest, the largest kirtan festival in the Western world. And we have Mohanji, who is historical in so many ways, and a beautiful man in every way. And we have our dear God brother Sham Sundar, who is like a legend in his own time. Besides, he was personal secretary for Srila Prabhupada, our guru, for about 8 years. He lived with him. He established the second temple in the whole world outside of India, in Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. And he lived with the Beatles and recorded #1 songs entitled the Hare Krishna Mantra. Where is it? Hariva! And have any of you read The Journey Home? Do you remember the person I left America with named Gary? Well, that's Gary. And this is my nephew. His name is Willie. He's my older brother's son. And we have special guest Anil Agarwal ji. Can you please stand up? He's a dear friend of our temple for so many years. And two of our dearmost friends, well-wishers and loving people, Mr. Ajay Piramal and Mrs. Swati Piramal. And my dear godbrother, Narothamanandaji and Vishwadevi Mataji, and Kishore Biani-ji is here. Where is Kishore? And Sangeeta Biani, such dear friends and well-wishers. Thank you. And many names I'm unable to say because we want the flower festival to start. But please clap your hands and say Hari Bol for everyone who has come. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Thank you very much.